Okay, we won't lead off with that. We'll say, here comes Okotoks CSI. You're a detective. We are answering these questions, so I'm going to read the question, and then we're going to dissect the answer that I gave you, and I'll put that answer sheet on pretty darn soon. The first one, however, I have an answer of a question we didn't even do yet, or we haven't done. Where would this be? Right here. Okay, so let's look at this question, and this is a question about flashlight bouncing off a mirror. And just to get used to the word problem lingo again, what would I say? What do you think the question said about the light about 30 centimeters? Do you think it said the light traveled 30 centimeters? Or do you think the light traveled 30 centimeters of horizontal distance? Which one do you think describes the green hypotenuse? Because that's what you need to know. That's what you need to distinguish. Where do I put the X? Where do I put the information 30? Do I put it here or do I put it here? Okay, what do you think this one says? Do you think it's the distance of light traveled or the horizontal distance of light traveled? Take a guess. That's how you get smarter. What makes more sense to you?
Horizontal.
Horizontal, good try. That's the horizontal means straight, right, and left. Okay, so that's where I've got something there. So I want everyone to write down this is the horizontal distance, and this is the vertical distance it would be from the ground. Okay, so you need to know those two words: horizontal, straight left to right; vertical, straight up and down. Now, if this was a ramp, this would be the length of the ramp. If this is a scuba diver, this is how far the scuba diver swam. If this is a light, that's how far the light travels. Okay? And you need to know the difference, because once you get the triangle, you guys have already showed me, you aced the triangles. Okay, you did awesome with the sine, costan, and Pythagorean theorem. It's just a matter of Okotoks CSI setting it up properly and making sure you use sine instead of cos. Okay, number 2 we already cracked it. Let's go to number 4. And the most important part about number 4 is that we get to sing a song. And this was so much fun in period 1. The whole class enjoyed it. I will sing the main part because I got the best voice, and then you sing the animal part. Let's see how it goes. And plus, we have to hear this podcast. Okay, so Old MacDonald has a farm, E-I-E-I-O, and on his farm he has a pig, E-I-E-I-O, with a
Oink, oink.
Come on, everyone. There and
Oink, oink.
here, there, here,
Oink, oink.
there,
Oink, oink.
just one on.
Oh.
Everywhere.
Oink, oink.
Well done, eh? Old MacDonald had a farm. E-I-E-I-O. Okay, you guys are right into this, so let's do another one. On his farm he had a giraffe. E-I-E-I-O. With a... Good job. You gotta go. I'll get you going. Okay, anyways, there's a barn. Where's the barn? Let me read the question. Question says, nope, that's not a mansion question. The ramp going to a barn has an angle of elevation. Okay, you have to know what the angle of elevation is. Angle of elevation is on the bottom looking up. Okay, you're on the ground and looking up. It's on the ground, it's on the bottom, it's on the bottom. Angle of elevation, you'll hear it a lot. You need to know where to label it. Everyone labels it here. However, 17 degrees should not be 45 degrees, so look at the diagram. If you made it a 45-degree angle, you're going to lose a quarter or half a mark. You have to label your diagrams properly. We talked about that at the beginning of Okotoks CSI. Right? So 17 is about 22, which is half of 45, so it should be significantly smaller than 45. Nice picture. There's the ramp. It says it rises 5 degrees. Okay, rises 5 degrees. The height is 5 degrees. The altitude is 5 degrees. That's all. Vertical distance is 5. That's all the same thing. I can say it in different words, just like you talk in different words. We're talking about math. You say cool, perfection, love it. Dope, is dope good?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's dope, maybe. Hi. Yep. Once you get this, and the trick to this one is X here or is X here? Okay, what's the length of the ramp? And I can understand this because length is it there? Now we know, but from that question we didn't even do, that the length of the ramp is where your skateboard, woo, triple backflip, landed at X Games, gold medal, thank you very much. I'll tell you more about my X medals later. But the length of the ramp is on the ramp. It's where your wheels of your skateboard would touch the ramp, okay? This is not the length of the ramp. This is the horizontal distance of the ramp. Okay, you guys get those terms now? Because if you put X here, where the green is, you're going to get 0. And this, well, you'll get a mark accurate diagram on 17, but that's not much out of 2. Getting decimal 25. And if you don't use sine 17, it doesn't really make sense. I can't give you marks. Okay, so the other thing is, if you do 5-word problems on the test and forget to write an answer sentence for it 5 times, and yes, I did write all this, I am very good at handwriting. That's why I'm such a great Secret Santa. Everyone thinks it's a woman, and I'm not a woman. So no one guesses me. You have to write an answer sentence, so don't forget. Go ahead and fix anything up that you need to fix. 5. Is there any more singing? Another good song is Ringo. R-I-N-G-O. No, that's the old version. Get with it, man.
My bad.
There was a dog who had a farmer. Ringo was his name. Oh, R-I. And you fast and then you faster. Oh, it's cool. Why can't we go back to elementary school? 7 up, thumbs up. My wife is so lucky. Okay, number 5, star 5. You should star all of these, really. Okay, number 5 says this: the roof of Tyson's mansion. You don't want this mansion, it's the doghouse mansion. So Braden's dog's mansion is 3 meters high. That's right here. High, altitude, vertical distance, height, rise. That's what you put there, okay, for 5. Lots of different words. And a 26-degree angle of elevation, okay? Your angle of elevation should be lower. It should be smaller than 45. That should be actually smaller, I think. That's kind of more close to 35. Okay, so it should be half 45 degrees and half of that is 22, so just a bit bigger than that. But anyways, 26, that looks about the same. What do you have to find? It says how wide. So is it X here or is X here? How wide is the mansion? Width, straight across. Width is like horizontal distance. So you do not find the hypotenuse. But there is 2 tricks to this guy. One, is that the width of the house if you draw the house? That's half the house. Good job, Ringo. So it's tan. We can find this triangle, but once we find x, that is not the width of the house. In fact, if you round it first, you're going to get a 1/10 off, and I'm going to take a half mark off. Remember we talked about do not round until the very end of the answer. If it's a 2-step or a 3-step even, do not round until the 3rd step or the last step. So this one, even though we get 6.2, if this was the answer, which it is not, you leave 2 decimal places or more. 2 decimal places is good enough to get 6.15, and when you multiply that by 2, you get 12.3 is the final answer. Okay, you don't round a rounded answer. You want to keep this as accurate as possible, then multiply it by 2. Why you multiply it by 2? Because we just found this. That's not the width of the house. The width of the house is from here to here. Okay? So, tricky little step is to multiply it by 2, and don't round here, otherwise you'll get 12.4, which is not the answer. The answer is 12.3. And all good? No songs? Oh. Okay. I was trying to sing na 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 goodbye to my kids today as I left, but Alexa wouldn't sing it. Number 6. Isosceles triangles, you need to know what that means. It means 2 equal sides. If you thought 3 equal sides, that's an equilateral triangle. Okay, so isosceles is 2 equal sides and 2 equal angles. Here's the equal sides. Okay, we got to find, what else does it say? Excuse me. Altitude is 3. There's the altitude, the height. It rises. Vertical distance. How high it is 3. And one of the angles equals 56. Well, hopefully you know, and if you don't, you know now, that the angles across from the equal sides are equal angles. Okay, so this is 56 and this is 56. Because these two sides are equal and those two angles are equal. Now you have a triangle where you have to find x, because it says how long are the equal sides. So you just use this. This was 3. Opposite over hypotenuse is a sine. Cross multiply, 2-stepper, and be careful. The answer is 3.6, but I could ask you, how long are the equal sides to the nearest centimeter? If I asked you that, you'd put 4 centimeters, right? Okay, and then write down the answer sentence, please, every time you have an answer sentence. If you're not sure if it's a word problem, that's what I meant to say. If you have a word problem, write an answer sentence. If you're not sure, just write the word problem or the answer sentence anyway, because I'm not going to take marks off that. Okay, phones off, please, everyone. Thank you. That's 6. By the way, if I had this triangle, what would these angles equal? You had 2 equal sides here. What would the 2 angles equal? They have to add up to 90 if they're equal. 45 plus 45. Good job, Ringo. Might have a permanent nickname for you. Okay, go. Can't do that, Chris. Let's go to the next page, 7. Let's get rid of the blue screen if I can. 7 says, what is the angle of elevation? So you're finding the bottom angle. Okay, the angle when you're looking up. You're looking up, that's creating an angle going up. Okay, so you're finding this guy, angle of elevation. To the nearest 10th of a degree. You should have underlined that 12 times, because that's weird. That should hit you right in the head. Bam. Nearest 10th of a degree, we never say that. So this one, you got to be careful. You need nearest 10th of a degree, and don't forget it in the final, because I've seen people highlight it and then forget to do it anyway. So I would just write down, before I do anything, just write down 10th of a degree to remind you that you find the nearest 10th of a degree. That's odd. Of a trail that vertically climbs, again, we need to know what that means. That means vertical. That means horizontal. Okay, everyone write that down somewhere. Just know it for the rest of your life, because those are common words. Okay, 15. Put that away, please. Thank you. 15 and 100. Now, 15 is 100 is about 8 times bigger than 15. As long as you have it a lot bigger, I'm okay with it. I'm not going to take a ruler. It actually should probably be right about here and make this kind of a triangle, but you can still see you get a skinny angle out of it if you write an accurate diagram. If you do this, 15 here and 100 here, you're going to lose marks. I'm telling you that right now. We talked about it. It's not just a little bigger than 15, it's a lot bigger than 15, right? It's 8 times bigger almost. We'll say 7 times bigger. So when you do that, I have a small angle, I got opposite, that's a tan, no problem, no problem. Answer sentence, good press. Any questions on seminar? All right. Lightning strikes. Harry Potter. Number 8 says, lightning strikes a tree 2 meters above the ground. The tree falls over and creates a 70. Look at your 70-degree angle. It better be very steep. It better be way bigger than 45, or you're going to lose some marks. Look at my tree. I can see my tree here and here, and that helps catch the final answer, because there is a little trick to this one too. First of all, I got to find the tree, so I got to find the hypotenuse, because that's part of the tree. Is it the whole tree? Nothing but the tree? No, it's the broken part of the tree. So when I find x, and once you do this diagram properly, it just becomes a triangle that you guys found x for the whole quest. Find x, you guys got this, then you got this, then you got this, then you got this. You know how to do that. It's a matter of these diagrams being set up properly. And again, if you don't set it up properly, if you put an x here for horizontal distance when it should be here, you're going to get 0, except for your accurate diagrams. But that's not much at all. You can't label these wrong. So study this sheet a lot before Thursday. Do the questions again. If you got 4 or 5 of them wrong, and you guessed on the 6th, then do those 6 questions again tonight. Then if you got 3 of those wrong, do those 3 again the next night. And then by the test on Thursday, you're going to be laughing. But if you just look at this and say, oh yeah, I know how to do these 6 questions now. I got 6 out of 10 wrong, but I'm not going to study them or redo them. I know how to do them now. I have all the answers right here. You're going to be in trouble. That doesn't work too well. You have to practice math, do math, not just look at it. Okay. Here's the Harry Potter. What's the question? The question is how high is the tree, or how long was the tree? Well, this is part of the tree. This is the part of the tree that got broken by the lightning bolt. So there's still 2 meters you have to add on to your answer. So there's the trick. And then again, I could ask you, how big was the tree to the nearest meter? You've got to know that. That's different than what we usually do. Now, those are unhomemade questions, except for I added some names. But here's my question, number 9. Daredevil Braden is in his hot air balloon with a porcupine, scissors, and unicorn. Already you can stop reading. He is 500 meters above Caesar's Palace. You're in Vegas, baby. Steph's Porsche is 800 meters from Caesar's Palace. What angle depression does Braden need to look at Steph for an attempted wink? Oh, you guys are all engaged. I wish I could write all the word problems in the history of the world, but I can't. I've got too much People magazine business to take care of. What's so funny about that? Anyways, let's move on to this guy. And it's talks about angle of depression. You need to know the angle of depression is the same as angle of elevation down there. Do not put it here or you'll get 0. That's what happens all the time. Angle of depression is not the top angle of the triangle. It's the outside of the triangle. It actually ends up being an equal alternate angle. But you don't need to know it. You just need to know that D equals E. So if I ask you what's the angle of depression, you find the angle of elevation, because it's way easier. There's other ways to do this, but this is going to be the easiest way. You find this, you have the opposite over adjacent. So inverse tan man, and then Work on your writing for those lit teachers or LA teachers so they can read your essays. Although you probably type them at this point. Okay. Good job. Way to calculate your attempted wink angle. And then don't write down the angle elevation, because that's not the question. The question is what angle of depression. Okay, so just be careful. Don't write elevation here. You have to answer the question they ask. The question says what's the angle of depression. Now I want to talk about, we already corrected 1 and 2, but I want to talk about 3 slightly, because we talked about it already. We didn't correct it in class, but we talked about that this question is, it talks about a rectangle, and if you draw a rectangle like a square, it's not really going to help you because you can't tell which angle is bigger or smaller. They're pretty much equal. So if you draw an exaggerated rectangle, like twice the length and 1 width, then you can see what angle is 32 and what angle is bigger than 32. Okay, so that's helpful. We already talked about that before the break, but I thought I'd touch on it again. Because if you're guessing on the angles, well, guessing, you know how good that works at math. Not so good. And don't forget, RPSA. Huh? Do you guys do that all break? Probably. All right, pause, man. Turn to the special triangle page. Page what?
21.
21, thank you. And let's play tic-tac-toe. I'll go first. All right. Who wants to go next? Who challenged me to a duel? Nobody? All right. Go ahead, Carter.
Top right.
Okay. Oh, you're an O. Good. Okay. My turn. I'm going to go here. I can't lose about $10 on this. I think you're going to lose. Okay, next.
I'll take bottom left, please.
Okay, right here.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Cool. I can't wait.
I like how this is working out. Let me go here.
Top left.
Top left.
Oh, well, you win because you figured my.
Okay, now I have to choose my favorite square. I love this square. I always play this square. Okay. You?
I'll take middle right.
Middle right.
Look like middle row.
Nailed it. All right. I never win these things. Okay, hopefully you didn't play tic-tac-toe on this. Let's do something else with it. And you can find 3 of these right now with these triangles. Try them. We know what
No. It's just that was a pretty weird game.
One. Okay.
Yeah. You suck. What am I gonna say?
I'll practice.
Yeah, you better.
Okay, Nick, you know 3 of these, I'm taping you. So 3 of these come from these triangles. See if you can figure out which 3. And then we'll have to work for the other 6. And I might as well tell you right now, you're going to see this chart on the test, and you're going to have to memorize it. Now, it's not, you actually don't have to memorize 9 things, so that's good. You only have to memorize 6 things because there's the repeats. But you don't have to memorize them. You can look at these and figure them out and just calculate them. You don't have to memorize them. I don't care how you do it. You know, I don't need my work shown on this one as long as you understand how we're getting these answers. Anybody figure out one? No one figured out last. Someone tell me something. Something. Okay, well the easiest one is right here. Sine 30 is what? What? Opposite over hypotenuse. 1 over 2. Yep. Okay, so that's one of the ones we can figure out just by looking at the diagram. What else is 1/2? Bless you. If we use this guy. So 60 adjacent over hypotenuse is also 1/2. So that makes it easier to memorize. Know that these two are exactly the same. And let's try to figure out the one thing we can use with the 45. Let me know if you figured it out yet. Good. So tan 45 equals 1/1, which is just 1. Good job. Okay, so that's the stuff we know just from the diagrams given. And I'll give you the diagrams with this chart. So you definitely want to get these 3, but that's not good enough. I would give you maybe 25% if you got 3 of them. Page 21, bud. Page 21. Here's where we are. Now, how am I going to figure out this side with this triangle? Any ideas? You have 2 sides and you're finding a missing side?
I was going to say 60 minus 30.
Good. That's for missing angles. So this is a missing side. That's what you would do if they had this one and you were trying to find this one. Good job. But if we wanted to find the x, how do we use the other 2? And you could use the angles if you want to. But let's use Pythagorean theorem. So everyone see Pythagorean theorem here? Is it addition or subtraction formula? Okay, so let's go x equals positive negative square root. Now don't do this with a decimal because I don't want it as a decimal. 2 squared subtract 1 squared. So we're going to use exact values. If you give me a decimal, you're going to get 0. This is exact values, which means fractions and radicals. No decimals. So let's break this up into the square root of 4 subtract 1. And what's 4 subtract 1? 3. Because it is distance. Write this down, please. You have to know, if you forget, if you memorize a chart and it doesn't work, you're going to have to know how to calculate it and get this side equal to radical 3. Okay, so we, instead of putting 1.73 or whatever it is, we just put radical 3. So now, if I have this side, I can do the cos of 30, which is radical 3 over 2. What's the sine of 60? Radical 3 over 2. You can see those are exactly the same. What's the tan of 30? Opposite over adjacent. Now we'll be doing rationalizing, so it's 1 over radical 3, but we're going to write it in a different way, because the last thing we're going to do in Trig, I guess, before sine law, cos law, is rationalizing, which means you can't have a radical in the denominator. So this is how you do it. You multiply by radical 3. What's 1 times radical 3? Radical 3. What's radical 3 times radical 3? Square root of 9 if you want. Which equals, what's square root of 9? The number 3. Okay, so you can put here radical 3 over 3. If you want to put 1 over radical 3, that's fine. I would accept that as well. So if you use the chart and you don't rationalize it, that's fine. I'll still mark that right as well. So you can put 1 over radical 3 or why I want to put this now is because at the test we'll have rationalized, and so you'll need to rationalize it. So on the test, You need the radical 3 over 3. You know what, I'll still accept that. I'm not making this a rationalizing question, but you'll know to get rid of it once we do that section. And now what's tan of 60? What's opposite over hypotenuse for 60? Opposite is radical 3 over, radical 3 over 1. What's radical 3 over 1? Anything over 1 is just itself. So that's a radical 3 part. Now, my friends, I want you to I want you to find out this green X using this red stuff. Okay, I want you to find out X, showing the work, using Pythagorean theorem, and tell me what that equals as an exact value. Oh, I gotta take attendance. Ooh, I like the attendance. There's 1, 2. I thought there was 2 people. Marshall, right here. Okay, pause. All right, that's rock and roll. We're going to use the addition formula here. So positive, negative. Oh, I guess I'll stick with green since the X is green. Square root of 1 squared plus 1 squared. X equals positive, negative. What's 1 squared? 1 plus 1, which equals radical 2 because it is distance. So if you don't memorize this chart, you can fill it in anyway by using SOHCAHTOA and knowing that this is radical 3 and this equals radical 2. Okay, if this is radical 2, what does sine of 45 equal? 1 over radical 2. Let's write this down. This is sine 45. But let's rationalize this now and multiply by radical 2 over radical 2. And you get radical 2 over 2. And that's great because that is also what cosine of 45 equals. So you got 2 things here that are the same as well. Radical 2 over radical 2 and radical 2 over radical 2. So it's a memorized game, or if you want, you can figure this out as long as you know this is radical 3 and this is radical 2. And it should make sense to you using Pythagorean theorem. There's no homework. You just need to know this chart for the test. If you know most of the chart, you get most of your marks. If you know like 4 out of 9, that's not good enough. Okay, I need to see that you studied this chart and you got most of it, so I give you most of your marks. Capiche? Capiche. All right, tomorrow, what's up? We're going to have a Trig review. We got Tuesday and Wednesday, so we're going to review Trig. We're going to do rationalizing and sine law, and then cos law, and then Wednesday will be mainly a test review. God bless and awesome day! Stop. Nope.